Welcome to the Rise Up For You podcast, where thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives from around the world share their practical tips, strategies, and stories to help you unleash your potential and achieve your goals. Your journey of growth to become your best starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast episode. Before we jump in, Natalina Nasruddin here. I wanted to let you know that, hey, when you're not listening to the podcast, when you're not watching the YouTube video, check us out on LinkedIn. We are constantly posting, adding value on LinkedIn, my team and I. We have a Rise Up For You page and has videos, articles, content. It's actually our favorite platform. So if you want to connect with us on a day-to-day basis and you want to get additional content and resources, head over to LinkedIn, follow me, connect with our team, connect with Rise Up For You, and we're happy to share any content, and even send us a message because we'll reply. We're not a bunch of bots. So I'll see you there. And for now, let's jump into today's episode.
All right. Hello, my friends. Look, I know you've heard this phrase before on Follow Your Joy, which is find the gift in the challenge, and you'll understand why you experienced your situation. While going through the challenge, it doesn't feel like a gift. That is for sure. However, if you can take a moment in the throes of that challenge and be conscious of the bigger picture and possibly the spiritual reason for going through what you're going through, you can soften the edges, right, of what you're experiencing to reveal the possible gift. Okay. And sometimes it does take a few days, if not weeks, to discover that blessing, right, in that challenge after the emotional effect, right, has worn off. But there's always a gift, right? And it can show up as a new chapter in your life that you were meant to do, but maybe didn't see it before, or was not open to seeing it, or maybe you just were not listening to your intuition. My guest today has a remarkable story, how this very gift in her challenge showed up that changed the trajectory of her life, where she can proudly say today, she's mentored and coached over 50,000 lives globally on self-empowerment, which you'll hear a lot about confidence in a few moments, career strategy and soft skills, which I believe is emotional intelligence. And because of that one big challenge, this is what became her gift, right? So I have let me repeat that. Natalina. We talked about this. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you. So Natalina is the founder and CEO of Rise Up For You. I love that title. She's a #1 best-selling author of Rise Up For You, Closing the Gap Between You and Your Potential. So fabulous book, by the way. I've read it. A leadership and career confidence coach and a 2-time TEDx motivational speaker with over 10 years experience as a college professor and a former top executive for an education corporation. Nada understands the importance of fusing education, empowerment, and leadership together as she works with her clients and speaks to audiences nationwide. And as part of her rich history and story, which you'll hear, she toured the world as a singer. She was a performer for quite a while, and she learned a lot of life lessons in that time of her life. And she has a master's degree in executive leadership. So yeah, high achieving might be a little bit of an understatement, right? So welcome, Nada.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here. I'm excited to share with you and with your community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, really happy to have you. In fact, how I met Nada was I went to an E-Women, I was at an E-Women meeting, luncheon. It was just a month ago. And she was our speaker. Right. She was our speaker, and I loved her story that you're going to hear today. And I went, we need to put you on my podcast. So that's where we met, is through other women, obviously women in empowerment. So I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, all right, let's first start off with share the highlights of your journey that brought you to today's, actually brought you to the leader that you are in the empowerment space. So what is that story?
The highlights. Ooh.
Yeah, what's that story?
Okay, I'll give you little reels of my life.
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, I started as a performer. I had an amazing childhood to start with, two incredible parents. And my first career, after childhood, was as a performer. I toured the world internationally as a singer and a dancer, Broadway musical theater. Yeah. And I think that's where, some of those soft skills that you talked about in the bio and the confidence came from. When you're traveling the world in Russia and Japan and countries that don't speak English, you learn really quickly how to communicate in other ways, cultural differences, lots of different things change. And it's interesting because as a performer, I always recognized that the biggest challenges that we had when we were on tour, right? A group of 40, was never that we didn't sing or dance good, right? Like we all were all really great at what we did, right. But it was always like communication challenges, confidence challenges, things that had to do with us as people. So after performing, I came back to California and I became an executive for an education corporation. I had about 200 team members under me when I was 27, turning 28. So quite young to have that many team members under me. And I saw the same challenge happening. Professionals with PhDs, master's degrees, the things that were getting in the way of the organization's growth and potential and individuals' growth and potential were all related to the human aspects. So the inability to communicate effectively, self-confidence, self-sabotage, not having clarity in what they wanted in their life personally and professionally, ineffective leadership, lack of empathy, again, all the human elements. They were genius when it came to their expertise. But when it came to all the, human skills and the ability to build a life that they were proud of that felt good, not so much. Yeah. And I didn't really fully understand that. I came from a family where my parents really emphasized like pushing your potential, loving yourself, having confidence. It was always, that was like the number one skill that was ingrained in my brothers and I. Even if we failed, even if we didn't do good, like just do it and go for it anyways, because it's not about the outcome, it's about the process, right? And that's what we've always been taught. So our whole life, we've been taught to have self-confidence because my parents understood that as you get older, people were going to try to chip away at it, right? It was like the number one thing that was going to help you survive. So we had that. And then one day, it was like the first day ever that I decided, I was like, okay, I had an incredible person enter my life and romantically, and was asked to move out of the country to build a life with this individual. So I'm this executive, I'm about 4 years into this role. And I'm like, okay, I make the career doesn't make me. So I'm going to resign from my executive position. I'm going to get rid of the house that I have on the lake. I'm going to sell my brand new luxury car. I'm going to get rid of all my stuff and all my clothes. And I'm going to take 2 luggage and I'm going to, make a shift and move out of the country for love, because I believe in love. And I believe that wherever I am, I can create my own happiness. Right. And unfortunately, 4 weeks after moving out of the country, it all came crashing down. And my ex at the time decided that they no longer wanted to be married, which was really shocking. So after 4 weeks, I get back on a plane. All I have is $100 to my name, no job, no car, nothing. Right. And I remember sitting on that plane crying and thinking, how does an educated woman in 4 weeks go from, at the time, what I thought was the top, to $100 and a broken heart and on a plane crying and embarrassed? My mother didn't even know I was coming back. My family didn't know. And I remember being on the plane and I was crying so much. I was embarrassed and obviously embarrassed and also like really shook up. I didn't understand. I couldn't comprehend what had just happened. I thought it was a joke, to tell you the truth. My father came to me on the airplane in my dream. And my father had died 2 years prior to this.
Right.
So he came to me in my dream and he said, Netta, everything you need is already inside of you. You just have to rise up for you. So I got back to California and I said, okay, Dad, okay, universe, okay, Netta, I'm going to build a company called Rise Up for You. Because I don't have a job. I replaced myself as an executive. I don't have a car. I'm starting from scratch. So, okay, why don't I bet on me? So I was like, I don't know what it's going to be. I'm just going to start building Rise Up for You. Have no idea how to build a company. Don't have a degree in business. Never done it before. Like, let's try it. So I started building Rise Up for You. And 3 months later into building the company, my second parent, my mother, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer out of nowhere. We've never had cancer before in our life. Don't know where it came from. So the first year of building Rise Up for You, I built it out of a hospital. I took showers at the 24-hour fitness. I would go back across the street to the hospital in California, and I would sit next to the bed. I would open up my laptop. How do you build a business? What's a podcast? What do people need in the world? Who's Tony Robbins? Like, if you know anything about this industry, obviously you would know him. I'm like, I don't know who this person is. Right. And I started building simultaneous to, watching my mom struggle and suffer. So by the time I was 31 years old, my second parent had passed. She passed 8 months after that. It was a very fast process. So I was 31, turning 32. Both of my parents, who were the most important people in my life, had passed away. I had a broken heart, lost everything, and I'm 31 years old. And
incredible.
Where do I go from here? So I just kept building Rise Up for You. And because of the confidence that my parents taught me, because of the upbringing that I grew up in with my parents and my 2 brothers, I was able to realize that all of those things, the job, even the relationship, they didn't define who I was. That the situation that I had just been a part of, it didn't define my identity or my self-worth. So I continued to build Rise Up for You and pour my heart into it. And 6 years later, we're in over 50 countries. We have clients all over the world. As you mentioned in the bio, I'm a best-selling author, 2-time TEDx speaker. And, 2 months ago, my face was on a billboard in New York, Times Square, all because of the perseverance and the hard work that I really attribute to my parents.
Yeah. Amen on that. So what would you summarize as the gift in that challenge when you were living in that different country and everything fell apart?
I think the gift, honestly, is recognizing that there's no day but today. The gift in realizing that don't wait to do what you want and what you love in your life. And losing both of my parents really taught me that as well, because my parents were young when they died. Yeah. They were both 62 years old. That's young.
That's young. Very young.
They had a lot of life to live. And unfortunately, they passed from sickness. My dad had 6 heart attacks. He wasn't a heavy man, but he just had a lot of stress because, you come to America from a third world country and you get sucked into that, hustle culture, right? Got to build a life, got to make money, got to build success and go. And then I'll retire at 65. And unfortunately, neither of my parents made it to retirement. So for me, the blessing in all of this was don't wait, just do it. Just do it and just take action. And even if you fail, it's okay. Yeah. And so for me, I really live every single day as if it's my last, because when I put my head on a pillow at night, I want to know that if I don't wake up, if it's not meant to be for me to wake up, that I feel proud of the life that I've created. And I want to feel that way every day, not 10 years from now, because who knows what's going to be in 10 years. And I think that is something and that's why I always talk about emotional intelligence and confidence, because those are the things that help you live in the present moment. Right. They help you make decisions that feel good for you, because right now you are the most constant thing you have in your life. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even in the book, as I was talking earlier, and again, I do recommend everybody to, grab a copy of her book. Thank you. Is that you go through a lot of storytelling around that relationship with your parents. I mean, they really did a stellar job in instilling in you, right, the confidence that you now stand for and that you speak about.
and that you do matter, and the things that you do in your life, and that you have gifts, to give to others. That's, I'm going to say that's not common. I mean, yes, there are some amazing, amazing parents out there, but that's really, I feel it's more of an exception than the rule. And I find that part of your story, really, it's, I don't know what the word is, but it's relatable as well as very inspiring, because yeah, I mean, it made who you are today, and you spoke very highly, obviously, of them and the lessons that you learned from them, and you going through that with your mother and sitting in the hospital room and the things that you had to do to keep this woman alive.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's interesting that you talk about that not many people like have that confidence factor, right? Because I didn't know that. And that's the thing is, growing up, I thought everybody was raised like that, and then I would, as I said, I was a performer, and I would see that people that were really gifted didn't have the confidence to like go and audition or go like take the stage. And I remember then being like, I don't like, what's happening? How come they're not doing it, Right. And then getting into the professional space and thinking the same thing. And I'm like, what's happened? I don't get it. Why aren't you just like going and like believing in you and like taking action? So it wasn't really until I went through the divorce that I had that first experience where I thought, oh, so this is what happens, is that you go through experiences in life that make you feel a certain way. And if you're not careful, then you accept that experience as if it's your own. And then now you carry that the rest of your life as if you're not enough. Yeah. You see? Yeah. I was fortunate enough that I didn't have an experience like that until I was like 20, till I was older, right? 30 years old is when I had that experience. So by that time in my head, I already can decipher like, no, like I believe in me. Like I'm not a bad person, right? But if you're 5 years old and you learn that, you don't know the difference. And then when you're 10 years old and your teacher reinforces it, you think it's the truth. Then when you're 16 years old and you have your first relationship and that falls apart, it's definitely the truth. And you see, and then by the time you're 30 and 40, you have this whole belief system about how you're not enough. And so when you want to go do something or take an action, that thought of like, I don't think you have it in you, you're not good enough, who says you deserve that? That comes up whether you realize it or not, because oftentimes it's subconscious. And so that's when, I realized that this is what I would consider to be the greatest tragedy of wasted human potential. This is the human pandemic. It's a global pandemic because no matter what country I go to, and I've been around the world as a speaker, it has been consistent across the board that 83% of professionals say their number one challenge is self-confidence and believing in themselves. Yeah. And that is a shame.
Thank you. That's why you're there. That's part of your zone of genius. That's why you're out doing what you're meant to do. Right. So that, that's a wonderful gift that your parents gave you, because that is correct. We get imprinted, right, as children, right? That's definitely a longer topic at that, but we get imprinted, and sometimes it's no fault of our own or their own, because it's generational. Yep. And thank goodness there's someone that can come along, be it a coach, be it a mentor, be it somebody in your life that can really help you change that trajectory. So yeah, it's an exception rather than the rule. And that's a wonderful blessing that you had.
Thank you. And I like how you just said what you said about, realizing that it's, passed down from generation to generation programming, because that's one of the ways of overcoming some of these beliefs is having empathy for the parents and the teachers and the past relationships that made you not feel good enough. Having empathy and realizing that they also learned it from somebody, pass it down to them. And they also had like negative beliefs about themselves and they didn't know better. Like they didn't know how to break it. So when you don't break it, hurt people hurt, right? What do you do with it is it becomes a belief and a programming, and then you pass it down to police and the belief in the programming. So
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the core of the work, part of the work that I do, the expertise around your relationship with money, which is core to everything that I coach and with my creative entrepreneurs, is that as well as, money. In other words, money is part of your, let me back up, your relationship with money, right? Your habits, your behaviors, mindset are impacted upon you as children, just like confidence. You either have it or you don't.
Yep.
Have good, you have parents that are instilling that confidence in you. But the point is, it's no fault of anybody's. It's generational until somebody says, which I say, the buck stops here. We're creating a new money legacy.
Yeah.
In this case, with you, where the buck stops here, if you will, with whoever that happens to be, we're creating a new confidence legacy for you.
Absolutely.
The same thing. I mean, it's really powerful, really great stuff. Good.
Very powerful.
Yeah. So tell us then, since the, follow your joy has everything to do, that's the name of the podcast. It's a life and a business strategy, which is why I call it that, because when we listen to our intuition, we listen to the joy, what brings us joy in what we do, right? That's a clue. Success leaves clues. Keep following that joy, especially in the work that you do. So talk to us. What brings you the most joy in the work that you do?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I think for me, what brings the most joy is it's simultaneous. I'm always changing, because you can't be in this industry of, training, coaching, speaking, and not change, and not have transformation within yourself. There's just no way. So I think that's one half. And the other half is then seeing the transformation and the shift in the individuals that my team and I speak to, because we believe in elevating the human condition.
Nice.
That's what brings joy, is elevating the human condition. And I believe, as a human and as a business owner, that every single one of us is put on this planet to help elevate the human condition.
Nice.
So what brings me joy is the fact that we have found something, which is the learning of the confidence, the learning of the emotional intelligence, the learning of these skills that can elevate the human condition in what I think to be the most important way, right? This is where everything starts. Yeah. Leadership, building a business, having a family, creating community, it all starts with you, with these human aspects. Right. And so that's what brings me the greatest joy, is to be able to see the transformation in myself from the work that we do, and then also to be able to see the transformation in individuals and their transformation in their families and work and so on and so forth, right? It's a continuous effect. Which, it's not about me, but it's great to see how it's growing.
Wonderful. I love that. And it was, again, elevating the human condition. Is that what you said? Yeah, that's a great phrase. I like that.
We're all put here to elevate the human condition. And some of us, actually, I would say a lot of us, don't realize that we have that power.
100%.
We don't realize that we have the power to really create a strong shift. Even if it's your neighbor, think about it. It just takes, not to go into a dark place, but it just takes one person to do something that can be a tragedy for multiple people. We know this, right? Because of what we see on the news. Now, imagine if you came across that one person as a teacher, or you were that one person's parent, or you met that person in a grocery store and you said something that just created a little bit of shift, right? That's the power that every single one of us has.
Yeah, absolutely. And amen to coaching and mentoring to help with that. Yes. From one coach to the other.
Yes.
So, all right. So the power of, intuition, as I've been kind of weaving in and out today, share with us a story about your life or business where you followed your intuition. And I get with you basically were born this way. It's natural to you to do that. Yeah. But share with us when you followed your intuition and you created a joyful, fulfilling result.
Yeah, I'd love to. And I'll even share one where I didn't. So I talked earlier about the divorce as well, right? Right. I knew, I knew in my intuition, I can feel like this isn't going to be a good fit for me.
At what point in that relationship did you feel that?
During the engagement process.
Okay.
So before the actual marriage.
Okay. And you were in your early 20s, right?
I was 30. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you were 30 when you were going through that.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
So
still young. That's still very young, but okay.
Yeah. So I knew in my stomach, I was like, I don't think this is going to be right. It doesn't feel right. But because I believe in potential, I always have before I open the business, right? And some things culturally, like, no, it's okay. We're of the same culture. Like, we can make this work. Like, I convinced myself that we can make it work.
Right.
Okay. So that's an example where I didn't use my intuition, even though it was like punching me in the stomach, like, hello, person.
This is not the good choice.
Yeah. And then when it happened, then I really made a promise to myself. I will never do that again, because what hurt the most wasn't that it didn't work out. What hurt the most is that I betrayed myself.
Right.
I was like, you betrayed yourself because you knew in your stomach. That is what I take ownership over, that's what hurt the most. Okay. And then a positive in using my intuition is that since then, I'm like, nope, if I feel it, like I go with it. Right. And I remember, so when I first started, building Rise Up For You, and after my mother passed, like you don't get money just like that after, 1 month of building the business, right? It takes time, you grow the business, the structure. Yeah. And so I remember the old college that I used to work at, they came back and they were like, the other person we hired, not working so much, we'd like to have you come back. And I was building Rise Up For You. And I was like, okay, like that'd be great to do, in the evening while I'm building in the daytime. So I started doing that. And then one day I had a dream. That said, no, you need to like do only Rise Up For You. If you want to make this happen, you cannot receive a paycheck or anything comfortable from anything. So I woke up, I only had 1.5 months of savings because I was still recovering from the divorce, right? It was all at the time. And I said, you know what? No, I feel it in my stomach. I think I have to just let it go. Not if I don't get a paycheck, and I just have to trust. I just have to do it. So I called the CEO and I called the director of the college, and I said, I'll finish out this next month because I want to honor my commitment. I have students. Don't put me on the books after this month. I'm only going to do Rise Up For You. Yeah. And then I hung up the phone and I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? Like I only have like 1.5 months left of savings. And so that means I only have like 2 paychecks left that are going to come in. Like, how am I going to survive? And I was like, no, Netta. And then, I'm coaching myself. No, the same energy you put into stressing is the same energy you can put into manifesting and taking action. Right.
Amen. Yes.
So I was like, no, don't stress. Like, just take action. Like, just do your thing. Okay. Yeah. So I, every day I woke up, I'm like, okay, 2 days later, 2 days later, I get an email from one of the largest companies in the world. I'll let you imagine what it is. Okay. So when you think of the largest company in the world, the first or second one that comes to mind, that's who they are. Yeah. I get an email from them. I'm like, why do I have an email from them? This is spam. What is this? I open it up. It was a real email. We have the largest conference of the year, 40,000 people from around the world. We're doing a lounge on coaching, on confidence, on leadership, and we were referred to you. What are you talking about? I get on the phone. It's true. Somebody that I performed with 10 years prior that now happened to work there referred me and said, oh, you should check out this girl on social media, Rise Up For You. She talks about confidence. She has a podcast. She'd be great. Yep. Out of nowhere, get on the call. I do a bunch of interviews, and 3 weeks later, we land one of the largest companies in the world with a
Yep.
5-figure contract.
Amen.
And
That works.
I tell you not, I screamed and I shouted and I said, universe, intuition, God, like you just thank
That's
you.
it.
Like, you do it and it comes back to you. And I will tell you that ever since then,
Fabulous.
I have not worried about money. I have not worried about what's going to happen in my life. I'm just like, just trust it's going to happen. Focus on energy. And I know you talk about this a lot. You know, again, it takes the same amount of energy to play small and to stress as it does to play big and take action.
Yeah.
And when you can focus and direct, it'll happen.
That's right. Yeah. No, fabulous story. Because it demonstrates the really importance of intuition, because intuition is never logical. It's that's your brain. That's how our brain works, right? Is logic, practicality, safe, past.
Yep.
Whereas with intuition, it's always for your best interest. It's always for your evolution. It's always gonna be good for you. It may not feel like it, but when we try to make logic out of our intuition, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
We have to be able to do, which is what you did, is leap and the net will appear.
Yeah.
In other words, you got to trust. And you said that several times, which I'm like, yes, you got to trust your intuition.
Yes.
And every time you trust your intuition, something good will come of it. As long as you're willing to get your brain and your mind and your logic and your practicality out of the way.
100%.
Right? So beautiful example.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that.
I totally believe it. And like I said, from there, it's been amazing. And I know, you probably see this a lot with your clients too, where the second the client says, okay, I'm going to do it. And they come back next week. They're like, guess what happened?
Oh, every time.
You opened it up to the universe, right? Like you were like, okay, you made the conscious shift and the universe responds to you and your shift. And that's what happens.
That's exactly what happens, because, when you get into the metaphysical part of this, which is also what I, believe, live, and coach, is that, yes, you've raised your vibration. I mean, everything is vibrational effect, our thoughts, our feelings, etc. We live in an energetic universe. And so when you made that decision that said, oh my God, this is scary as all get out, I'm quitting this job, I'm going to put 100% into what I should be doing, right? Which is the intuition going, come on, take the leap. Is that you're literally telling, if you will, the universe that, okay, I'm doing what I say that I want. Because when we hold on to, in your case, if you were to hold on to that paycheck, that's just fear talking to you.
Yeah.
It's fear talking to you, and it's you not believing in your intuition.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's the logic that's keeping us there.
Yep.
And logic has no place when it comes to evolution.
100%.
I love it. Oh, that's good stuff. Awesome. Good. So, okay, lastly then, since obviously confidence is your beautiful platform, what would be a key advice? I know you have a lot, but what would be a key advice for our listeners, our creatives listening?
When it comes to confidence?
Yeah.
I would say something that I think is very undervalued, that's very important when it comes to confidence, is first understanding what you want.
Okay.
I think it's important for people to know what they want in their life, why they want it, and how they're going to get there. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of times we crush our confidence, okay, as individuals, and we lose respect for ourselves because we do things and we say yes to things that actually aren't really in alignment with us. But because we don't know what we want, right? We chase, we take, we accept. And then before you know it, we don't feel good about our decisions and we end up like feeling bad about ourselves. So of course there's strategies to build confidence, but I would say that we also need to have the courage to really understand what is it that we want in our life, personally and professionally, why we want it. Okay. How we're going to get there. And what we have to say no to in order to make that happen, meaning what are the non-negotiables that we have around that so that we can be in integrity with what we want. All too many times I see, again, people, they disrespect themselves and they crush their confidence because they say yes and they do things that don't feel good to them. A prime example is work. I mean, we know this from Gallup and all the statistics. Almost 80% of the North American population, and actually it's not just North America. They had the same statistic when I was in the Middle East in Dubai, in the MENA region, same number. People around the world are stuck, unhappy, and unfulfilled in their work, not necessarily because they want to be an entrepreneur, but because their work and their company and who they are, it doesn't feel good. It's not in alignment. It's not connected. Right. And so every single day there's a disrespect or a slow crushing of the confidence because you're doing something that doesn't feel right or organic to you. And that's important.
That's it. Amen. Love, love, love that. All right. So where can people get in touch with you, Annetta?
Yes, thank you so much. So you can check me out at riseupforyou.com. That's the company. And we're everywhere on social media, Rise Up For You. And then, of course, you can connect with me on my personal page at Netta Lena Nasruddin. And I know you'll spell it out on
in
the share notes.
Yeah.
Long Middle Eastern name that you can put. And I would love to connect, shoot me a message. Like, we're very accessible. So
wonderful. All right. Is there anything that you would like for them to have? Is there anything that you,
thank you.
that you want to offer?
I'd love to. So if you go to riseupforyou.com, instantly, the second you get on the website, there's going to be an option for you to access our free Master Success course. And it's comprised of 6 videos on confidence, perfectionist mindset, breaking self-doubt, building the life that you want. So I just talked about the success, what, why, how, and also emotional intelligence. So all of those videos come in that package course, plus a 60-page downloadable workbook, completely free.
Wow, that's really amazing.
We really believe in this mission of, again, elevating the human condition. Right. So we're like, here you go, take the tools.
Go use it. Oh, that's terrific. So again, riseupforyou.com, and they'll see that opt-in right there.
Away.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll definitely, have all that in the show notes.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. I know we could definitely talk for much longer. There's lots of dynamic content here. But thank you. Thank you for being here, Netta, and, sharing what was my favorite is all about that story. And there's so much, there's so much blessing and gift in that. Right, in what you learned. So everybody, you heard it here. Trust, leap and the net will appear. Listen to your intuition.
Yes.
Right, and look for the gift in the challenge, because it's always there. All right, everybody, I will talk with you next time, and remember to always follow your joy. Take care. Bye-bye.
Imagine a life where you can have it all: a booming career, fantastic love life, great health and success, and overall achievement and happiness. Imagine pushing your potential to your absolute best and every day living a life that you are proud of. Well, if this sounds like something that you're yearning for, then the Rise Up For You Growth membership is perfect for you. My team and I believe in supporting you and helping you get to the next level, because we know that you can do and have what it takes to be your best. When you join our membership, you get access to live trainings every single month with myself and our team. You get free coaching. You get a number of on-demand resources to help level up your success that you can use in the comfort of your own home. And you get access to our global membership around the world, full of like-minded professionals that are looking to be their best. Your time is now to push your potential and live the life that you want to live. So if you're ready to take the next step in your life and in your career, join the Rise Up For You Growth membership. Click below and we'll see you there.